everyone. Today we're going to be talking about the NitroPlanes Exceed RC F5E Swiss Tiger version. It's a 64mm EDF jet. This one here is the almost ready to fly. It's receiver ready. I've got my own receiver, my own transmitter, so this is a perfect jet to add. And we're going to go ahead and put this thing together and show you a few tips on how to build it. Okay, I basically got all my parts laid out. And I'm going to, before I even get started building, I'm going to go ahead and get the battery charged. The 64mm actually runs off of a 3-cell 1300 milliamp 25C battery. So I'm going to go ahead and get the LiPo charged before I get started on the build, so that way when I'm done the battery should be done. This version does not come with the transmitter or the receiver, but it does come with the charger for the battery, so that's nice. You basically just need a receiver and your transmitter, and I'm ready to go. Okay, the first thing I want to start with, I'm going to go ahead and get the control horns, everything installed on the wings and the elevators. Get all the horns installed, glue everything down before I attach it to the plane, and when I start running my wires. So, okay, we have the horn installed. Just make sure that the flat side faces the servo. There's 2 sets of wheels. Each one, you want the wheel to be facing the aileron, and you want the outside of the wheel part here to be facing away from the plane. So we're going to slide this, there's a little hole inside there to snap that in. Then we have our hold down brackets. Okay, to attach these horns, what you want to do is, the gray side is the bottom, the yellow is the top. So you want these on the bottom, and you want them facing the front of the plane, just like you did with the ailerons. You want the flat side of the horn here facing the front of the plane. Alright, I am now ready to go ahead and attach the wings and the control surfaces in the back for the elevators. First thing I want to do is make sure I pull the servo wire out of the way. There's a little bit of tape on it. I actually like to pull this back and just kind of tape it back a little bit. I'll do that on both sides. This just kind of keeps these wires out of the way until I'm ready for them. I always like to dry fit before I start putting the glue. Make sure there's nothing in the way. Okay, again, for just like most of my projects that I do, I'm just using foam safe CA glue. It's gap filling. It holds really well. I've never had a problem. So I've got the wings applied, I've got the elevators installed. Next I'm going to go ahead and install the nose wheel, the steering, and I'm going to go ahead and get my receiver installed and go ahead and get that powered up so I can provide power to my servos. I can connect all my linkage rods, and I'm going to do all of that before I put my vertical steering. Okay, so you'll notice on your steering you've got a small Allen screw here, and that is to line up with the flat spot on the bottom of the wheel. So I'll show you here sideways. Okay. So now that while I've got power and before I pack all this, it's actually a good idea to go ahead right now and let's get these puppies installed. Okay, I need to run the rod from the servo to the aileron. First I need to insert this. If you find that it won't fit, it's just a little too tight, you can always hog this hole out. I use this very small drill bit. And I just kind of manually turn it. It comes out very easy. And I'm going to try to align. I'm going to pinch. I'm going to pinch on the aileron here. And I'll try to align where this connects. And it looks pretty good, but I'm going to go ahead and twist it out a half a turn. That actually looks much better. before I snap it in. That looks pretty good. And it goes back to neutral, so I can actually clamp this down. Very important when you're building this that the elevators are as close together as possible. As I can tell, this side here is a little lower than this side, and if I turn it sideways, I like the levelness. I like the levelness of this one versus this side. This side actually looks like it kind of slopes down a little bit. So I'm going to adjust this here to bring this up just a tad to make it more even with this side here. Okay, you'll also note that I'm installing all the control rods while the power is still on. This way, if I push on the servo arms, they don't just slide away and I lose my center now that I've added power to them. So it's critical that I do this while there's power. The more time I take right now in the first build, the less time out at the field I'll have to do making small adjustments. Okay, I have my receiver installed in here with the antenna hanging out the little hole. Depending on what kind of system you're using, you may have a really long antenna. If you're using a 72 megahertz, you can go ahead and take that antenna and wrap it around the bottom, all along the bottom of the fuselage. Since I'm using a 2.4 gigahertz, I'm actually running an AR500 receiver, which I found these are very reliable because of the extra long antenna. I haven't had any problems with them at all, so therefore I trust them so far. And I'm just going to tape that down right along there. Okay, so there we have it. The F5E Swiss Tiger is finished. Gonna go out now and do a couple of taxi tests, make sure that the front wheel is tracking. Go out and test fly this. I appreciate everybody staying tuned and watching the build video of the F5E Swiss Tiger version 64mm by NitroPlanes.com. She looks like a very sweet bird. We'll see you at the field.